What's good, people? It's Lewis or bbrights, and I am back for a brand new video. Yes, it's here finally, the long-awaited PsyTrance episode 2 tutorial. I was meant to have this consistently going, but I didn't really know what to do for part 2. But now I just decided to work on the drums, and I'd like to point out that a while ago in part 1 there was a few people that were so-called upset that I used a pre-bass sample from Loopmasters or a kick and not making it all myself, which I apologise, but if you need to look for that stuff you can search for someone else on a tutorial, but I'm just doing the tutorial on what I want to do it on, so that's that out of the way. Today's episode we're going to be working on the drums. I could be lazy and just dragging a top loop and that's the video over, but we're not going to do that, so we're just going to leave that there for reference and we're going to mute it. But yeah, if you completely forgot what happened last episode, I worked on the kick and the bass. For those that would remember as well, it was a triplet bass, but for purposes of easier drums, stuff like that, I just turned it into a 4 to the floor bass, and it sounds like this. So yeah, that's what we got last episode. So I'm using Splice. Everyone knows Splice, everyone should use it. And all we have are one-shot drums. Here we have a snare, we have an open hat, we have a closed hat, and we have another snare. We also have a vocal here, but that's going to be for another episode. But this episode, strictly, we're going to be working on the drums. There's 4 drums here. So yeah, we have a snare. Name that snare. We'll normalize it to get the audio bigger. Sounds like that. We have an open hat. Normalize that, sounds like this. Just standard samples everyone knows. Closed hat there. Rename that closed hat. And a snare, which you can hear a bit of subbing, but we'll cut that out. We'll call this offbeat snare because we're using this as percussion. So we're going to be comparing it to a top loop. Most people watching this, even myself, just for the tutorial purpose, I'm going to be creating it with separate one shots, but you could easily just drag a top loop in. It saves so much time and you probably get better quality anyway. So you can hear you have a rolling hi-hat. So we're going to start working on that first. To highlight the sample, Control drag and then hold Control B, and it rapidly pastes it to the next beat and bar. So we'll just paste that going. We'll go for 16 bars. We just get rid of this half because we just copy and paste what we have after. So yeah, we're going to make it a nice green. And like I said, it sounds like this. But we're going to do a bit of processor to spice it up. So we're going to, just in case, take any unnecessary lows out. And we're going to add some nice side chain for some rhythm. We're going to add the high chain, but we're going to turn it down to about 60%. Maybe 70. And we're going to keep the kick going. We're going to mute the bass line. That was loud. I'm going to put a warning there because I completely forgot to mute them. So let's go again. And let's mute the top loop. Sounds like that. Next we're going to add a fruity delay 3 and use the bandpass preset, and we're going to tweak it a little bit. Originally it sounds like this. We're going to turn that down to a 2 time. Make it ping pong. Turn the input down to about halfway and turn the wet down to about 75%. Next we're going to add a small little reverb. We're going to use a drum room, turn the wet down, and turn the delay up and turn the separation to the left a little bit. Now comparing it back to the top loop. See, it has a nice little bit of swing on it. So we're going to change that now. What we need to do, go to the sample. For the second and full sample, we want to shorten it a tiny little bit, like that, and then drag it to the right. Now it has more swing. Now we can just delete all the copied ones we've done before and repaste them. Control B, like that. Now we have more swing. Next, we're going to come back to that afterwards. We're just going to add the rest of the drums in. Don't want this tutorial to be too long. Add the snare in every 2 and 4 hits. That sounds like this. PsyTrance snares / claps, you have a lot of low end taken out. You have unnecessary panning in the sample, pan it left or right accordingly. Next we have an open hat. This can be very hissy, so you want to be careful with open hats. They can make your drum sound a little too messy. See right here, it can be very, sort of duck it just a little bit. 2 dB in the 9 kHz range can be very, very nasty frequency. You can experiment by adding flanges and choruses on. Let's try and add a flanger on the hi-hats. Turn the mix down to 50%. We're also going to add a ride. I think we'll use the Cashmere pack. Try volume 3. But what we're going to do with the ride is we're going to create a pan automation clip, and it's going to be panning left to right to make it nice and stereo. Again, highlight the sample, Control B, paste it. Name this ride. And we're also going to put a sidechain on this to use the same preset and the same mix level, 70%. And like I said, create an automation clip for the pan, but only create it to highlight 1 bar. Then create the automation clip, because then it creates it for 1 bar. And then what you want to do is you want to drag the second point up, make a nice little curve, then right click and create a wave. And then what that does, you grab the little center knob here, drag down, and then see it does that. And you want it to about there. And you want to drag this down to 25%, drag this up to 75%. And then if you play that, pans left and right. And then again, we're going to Control B the automation clip. Now all together so far, sounds like this. Now again somewhere. Finally, I'm going to add the offbeat snare. It's going to be like a moon baton style drum, hear a lot in big room. You can see there in the top there, you can see some unnecessary low frequencies. We're just going to cut that out. I'm also going to sidechain this. We're going to sidechain this a little more heavy. We're going to keep it on 100%. Gives more swing. So let's compare this to the top loop. So let's turn all this off and play the top loop. And now let's play our version. Now let's play it with the bass line. I also wanted to showcase what it would sound like if you was to add the top loop on top of the existing drums. You can obviously add as many drums as you want into your track, just depends how well you level them with volume, mix them, stuff like that, stereo width and stuff like that. So I'm just going to play the first 4 bars without the top loop and then the second 8 bars with the top loop, and you can hear what the difference is. So let's go. So as you can hear, it actually does sound a little more filled up when the top loop comes in, but I also wanted to showcase that you can actually make drums with one shots if you don't have access to top loops. Like I said at the beginning of the video, most people would just drag in a top loop, me myself included. It's just a lot easier, it's more time saving, then we've got to work on all the individual drums, EQing the snare, clap like I did in this video. But yeah, so that's this episode of drums. Next episode will be out on Wednesday. It's part 3. I'll be working on adding a vocal in. Let's turn this down. There's this vocal here. So yeah, we're going to be adding that in. But that's still part 3. But yeah, that's this episode done. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. Helps the channel grow, makes me happy. And yeah, I'll see you on my next video in a bit.